He has no face, yet every missing child swears they saw him watching from the trees. A figure stitched together by the internet's darkest corners. Born in pixels, raised in whispers, and now lurking in your nightmares. He is more than a myth. He's an infection, a shadow that spreads with every story told, every image shared, and every believer lost in the woods. You think you're safe because he was born on the internet? Think again. Tonight, we peel back the digital veil and step into the forest where Slender Man waits. I'm your host, Michael. This is Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast. Season 2, The Snapdragon Files. Episode 19. File number 420. I'm your host, Michael. Don't close your eyes. The Slender Man is a fascinating figure because, unlike many myths and legends, his origins are well documented and entirely modern. Yet he has quickly been woven into the fabric of internet folklore and even inspired real-world consequences. His myth was born in 2009. Slender Man was created as part of a Photoshop contest on the Something Awful forums. The contest asked users to create paranormal images that looked authentic. His first appearance were 2 black and white photos of children with a tall, faceless figure lurking in the background. The figure wore a black hat and had unnaturally long limbs. It was suggested that the creature was involved in the disappearance of these children. This quickly took on a life of its own as users across forums like 4chan and Reddit began expanding the lore. Though thought to be fictional, Slender Man's mythology grew organically through crowdsourced storytelling. His traits: he's extremely tall, often 7 to 14 feet. His appearance: faceless, pale, humanoid with no visible eyes, nose, or mouth. Wears a black suit and tie. Limbs: abnormally long arms, sometimes tentacle-like appendages from his back. He's said to have the abilities of teleportation, mind control or manipulation, inducing paranoia and hallucinations, and causing memory loss, or as it's referred to, slender sickness. His typical behavior is he stalks his victims, especially children, causes them to vanish or act violently. He appears in forests, abandoned buildings, and near playgrounds. He is usually silent and moves slowly but inescapably, evoking dread rather than overt violence. Slender Man became one of the first viral internet monsters, with thousands of stories, artwork, YouTube videos, and even movies. But some argue that he's very real. For instance, in 2014, 2 12-year-old girls in Wisconsin lured a classmate into the woods and stabbed her 19 times. They did it to appease the Slender Man. This incident shocked the world. And as you will soon learn from my great uncle's files, the Slender Man is very, very real. Now, this week's episode is going to be a little different due to the fact that this file isn't directly written from my great Uncle Sam. Instead, it's compiled of a classified report from a Colonel Nathan and handwritten journals from one of the soldiers, one of Slender Man's ultimate victims. Some of the names and events in this document have been redacted, but most of it's here, and it's titled The St. Adelaide's Incident. Compiled report, internal use only, prepared by Colonel Nathan, Joint Paranormal Task Force Command. Clearance level, Black Garden 7. Do not duplicate. Date, October 30th. The overview of this incident. 3 weeks ago, an emergency request from the Virginia National Guard led to the reactivation of Project Deliverance, a long dormant Black Ops directive tied to anomalous activity in special zones. The site, St. Adelaide's Catholic Academy, now abandoned and structurally unstable following decades of dormancy. We initially believed this is to be a mass hallucination event or possible gas exposure. What we uncovered was something far older, more coordinated, and disturbingly familiar. Phase 1. Initial events. St. Adelaide's was built in the 1800s on land allegedly gifted to the church. There are 0 land records before 1830s, and the church's own archives reference original guardians of the grove. Suspicious language even by Vatican standards. Children began disappearing, the staff's mental states deteriorated. Survivors recounted dreams of a faceless man in the woods, impossibly tall, dressed in black, whose presence triggered migraines, nosebleeds, and eventually silence. One girl, Clara, was last seen reaching towards something in the fog. The last sight was shuttered and buried in bureaucracy until this winter's reactivation. Phase 2. Project Deliverance deployed. 2 of our best, Captain Rourke and First Lieutenant Vasquez, were deployed to assess and contain. Their recordings degraded rapidly upon entry. Gear failed, biological interference off the charts, specifically in the frontal lobe, associated with memory and religious hallucinations. They located a child survivor, Sarah, who spoke in contradictions. She identified Lieutenant Vasquez by her first name, though they had never met. She referred to the black door, something echoed in Lieutenant Vasquez's later field logs. Vasquez began experiencing intense deja vu. She found an old missing persons file and discovered her own photo among children taken from the region decades earlier. Quote from Ellen's journal: "What if I wasn't found by the army? What if I escaped?" Shortly after, Lieutenant Vasquez disappeared, willingly approaching the entity now identified in documentation as the Slender Man. He's not a ghost, not a demon. He's a memory parasite, feeding on faith, grief, in children. Phase 3. Recovered materials and final contamination. Captain Rourke was recovered alive but unresponsive, endlessly drawing the same symbol, a diamond-shaped square. Note, symbol predates Christian iconography and appears in Old Testament linked to forbidden names of God. Lieutenant Vasquez's journal was recovered, pages warped but legible. It references the idea that this entity does not simply kill, it preserves, turning the faithful into permanent fixtures in its dimensional nest. A cathedral of stolen prayers. Further investigation into Lieutenant Vasquez's background shows no birth record prior to age 9. Her appearance at a remote orphanage in Roanoke had long been a red flag buried in a sealed Vatican-American exchange program, dubbed Operation Miriam. Now there's more unconfirmed events. Intel cross-check pending. In the days following her disappearance, 8 more children vanished in nearby towns. A hiker found a small child's shoe beside a tree trunk, still warm. One drone captured 5 seconds of video. A school chapel inside the forest, with stained glass depicting Lieutenant Vasquez, arms spread, surrounded by smiling children. Conclusion: what we know. The Slender Man is not singular. It is a conduit, possibly sentient, likely trans-dimensional. It does not seek worship, but remembrance. The more we deny it, the stronger it becomes. Attempts to erase the past, burning records, closing schools, silencing survivors, only feed it further. Physical weapons seem useless against it, or him. Now this document is ended with a recommendation from Colonel Nathan. His recommendation: Project Deliverance should be terminated. St. Adelaide's is to be declared a no-go zone. All further mentions should be expunged. Now attached to the back of this document is the confidential field log, codenamed Deliverance, handwritten by Agent First Lieutenant Vasquez. Clearance level, Black Garden, eyes only. Location: St. Adelaide's Academy Ruins, Augusta County, Virginia. Now her entries are sporadic and a bit confusing, but we'll try to make sense of them. Entry 7. Arrival at the perimeter. The fog rolls in unnaturally thick here. Captain Rourke keeps saying it's just a low pressure system, but the static in our radios disagrees. The local wildlife's gone silent. Not a single crow, not even a cricket. Just the trees creaking, and something behind them, watching. It reminds me of something that I've tried for a long time and not to ever remember. Entry 8. Symbol reoccurrence. That diamond-shaped square again. Carved on trees, drawn in ash, chiseled into fallen rocks. It shows up in some of the children's drawings too, always around their necks, like an amulet. Captain Rourke thinks it's a sigil. I think it's much more evil than that. I think it's a door. To what? I'm scared to find out the answer. Tonight, I dreamed of the confessional. I was 8 again. My hands were shaking. But it wasn't Father O'Connell inside. It was him. Tall, silent. His arms unfurling like banners in a wind I couldn't feel. Reaching for me. Reaching through me. Entry 10. Interference. Our body cams are useless. Night vision flickers. Heat sensors go dead. HQ sent a message saying we're not authorized to proceed deeper into the chapel ruins, citing legacy containment protocols. Whatever the hell that means. Captain Rourke lost it. He thinks they knew exactly what this site is. That this site isn't just haunted. It was buried for a reason. Entry 11. The girl. We found a child, Sarah, 9 years old, but speaks like she's seen decades. Her first words were, "He took the nuns gently. The children went willingly." She looked at me like she knows something about my past that I don't. That disturbed me. I don't like Sarah. Sarah asked if I remembered the black door. I said no. She smiled and whispered, "You will." Entry 12. Self-reflection. Redacted. I just looked through the old files. There was a group of missing girls from an orphanage in Roanoke, 1996. One of them looks exactly like me. Same scar on the chin, same birthmark. There's no record of my life before that year. I'm so confused. What if everything I had been told about my past was a lie? What if I wasn't found by the army? What if I escaped this ancient horror story? Now, Lieutenant Vasquez's final entry is written in smudged ink, possibly blood. And it reads, "He doesn't kill, he absorbs." Each child, each nun, each prayer, they became a part of him. A cathedral made of stolen faith. The church tried to hide it, but you can't bury an idea. Not when it wears a suit. There's no God. There's no future. Just him. We tried our best to stop him, but he's unstoppable. I see now. I was never meant to kill him, the Slender Man. I was meant to remember him. He's been waiting for me to make his existence whole, for me to believe in all his darkness, so you all would too. And at the bottom of the last page, Lieutenant Vasquez had scratched the diamond square symbol into the paper. Now, another note: when recovered, the final page was soaked in moisture but warm to the touch, despite the surrounding air being near freezing. Lieutenant Vasquez's body was never found, but the drawing of the diamond symbol continues to appear in woods across the region, scratched onto trees, etched in frost, even buried into the dirt. And every child who vanishes near Augusta County, their last words are always the same: beware the Slender Man. Now, my favorite part of this file is after all of that intelligence and reporting that our government would just leave it be. But that wasn't good enough for my great Uncle Sam, because at the bottom of this file, he added in all caps, December 13th, Team 7734 reported to the before mentioned banned jurisdiction of St. Adelaide's and burned it all to the ground. All right, fellow gardeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was different not hearing the experience through the eyes and voice of my great Uncle Sam. There are more files like this as well. So if you guys liked them, I would love to report more of them for you. You know, I always thought Slender Man myself was fake, made up. A video game entity. A meme that got out of hand. But I think he's just a new variation of things that go bump in the night. Of the mysteries that can hurt us, that no one wants to admit. A digital boogeyman that thankfully I've never had the pleasure of meeting. If any of you have any stories or experiences with Slender Man, please reach out. Tell us your story. Let me share it. Because I want to believe you. I want to believe in the unbelievable. You can reach me on TikTok, X, Twitter, Instagram as Gardener Michael, and email me at pbgharvest@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you. I hope you'll come back next time as we tackle a variant of this week's boogeyman called Shadow People. And I just so happen to have my own experience with that as well. As always, fellow gardeners, my name is Michael. This is Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast. Season 2, The Snapdragon Files. And remember, monsters are real. And the Slender Man is always waiting